ladder of inference is a concept that can help us to understand how we make assumptions, how we make inferences with regards interactions with other individuals or other teams. When we look at the ladder of inference, there's 4 particular stages associated with it as a concept. We start at the bottom of the ladder, whereby we see and hear certain pieces of data. We see and hear, perhaps even take in some of our other 5 senses as well, but more often than not, certainly in the workplace, we're talking about what we see and what we hear as data. With that data, it infiltrates via our 5 senses our brain, and our brain processes ultimately. So we climb to the next rung of the ladder, and that is where we start to operate and link in with assumptions, with our beliefs, with our experiences, with our meanings that we've placed on those previous experiences. And we start to build a story. And that story very quickly then sees us climbing to that next rung of the ladder, whereby we think and feel something accordingly. We think in terms of making judgments and conclusions. And then through the feel part of this rung of the ladder, we experience emotions and feelings. Those thoughts and those feelings then drive us to the top of the ladder, whereby we say and do something. That is, our actions. We take action with regards whatever we have seen and heard. Now, the beautiful part of the ladder of inference as a concept is that in referring to the way we make assumptions, the way we infer meaning on anything, is that it is a natural process, a natural brain process that we have. And it happens all the time, and it happens at a rate of about 0.25 of a second. We climb that ladder, we see and hear something, we have a story already in our head, we are thinking and feeling something about that data, and therefore we say and do something. So at a rate of 0.25 of a second, it is very, very quick. Now, the reason why we are hardwired to operate like that and so quickly is that it allows us not to have to rethink about a situation, about a belief that we have, about an experience that we've had previously. If you like, similar is good enough because it helps us to conserve energy. Our brain already uses up to 25% of our whole entire body's energy supply, and yet only weighs 2% on average of our entire body mass. So it's tiny as compared to the rest of our body, but uses about 1/4 of our body's energy supply just to keep going. Effectively, it doesn't want to have to use any more. So climbing the ladder of inference, making assumptions constantly, helps us to conserve as much energy as possible. Now, often our assumptions, the inferences that we make, the ladder that we've climbed, often we will find that it is relatively accurate. In some instances, particularly when we're talking about teams and when we're talking about seeking to really empower teams, this is where this concept can come into its own. That is, by exploring how we go through these processes on a constant basis, but yet in some instances our actions, what we say and what we do, have proven us wrong, where we've actually started breaking down trust of certain team members or even teams based on something that we've said or done based on essentially the stories that are in our head because they're not accurate. Now, I often ask people, where is the safest place on any ladder? And as we all know, when we think about a tangible ladder, the safest place on that ladder is down the bottom. And when it comes to the ladder of inference, particularly when we're talking about critical interpersonal relationships, particularly within our team and with our direct reports, the safest place on the ladder of inference is also at the bottom. That is, re-exploring what we've seen and what we've heard. Is it the real data? Or do we not have enough data? Do we have, am I running off assumptions and previous experiences that are no longer accurate? And therefore, what's the other data that I need to gather up to ensure that what I say and do and going forward is much more likely to continue to build that trust, to continue to ensure that we are encouraging constructive conflict, accountability and commitment, and focused attention on the greater results.